What's happening with you? Welcome back to No Cap, boy DC. Man, watching this basketball's back, man. Been watching sports. I got it set up where I can watch and then be live at the same time, but I'm still locked in. Trying to get cold outside, boy. Real cold. Real cold. Like, man, woke up middle of the night. Because I was hot. Like that uncomfortable hot where I was stuck in the cover. Had to maneuver my way out. Looked over at my phone. Boy, check that temperature. Disrespectful. Very disrespectful. So for all the fall is my favorite season people, or I can't wait for the wintertime people, I better see y'all outside because y'all been praying for this. Y'all been asking for this. Crazy thing about that is majority of those folk who say they love fall and wintertime, they don't even like being outside. They like the fall and the winter just so they can look out the window. Or they can put an outfit on that they don't go nowhere in. Crazy. But it's grind season, man. It's that part of the year where folk start to be more intentional, quote unquote, who they're hanging out with, being more strategic with where I go out, who I go out with, what time I go out, how long I'm out. It got to be a special occasion to go outside now that it's starting to get cold. Concerts are starting to wrap up because it's cold outside. Ain't nobody trying to be out there. But since ain't nobody outside, it's the best time to drop music because they're already in the house and they already on their phone. So go ahead and drop some. Then allow the fester with the folk. Keep dropping maybe a single here or there. And then by the springtime, you be back on tour. But it's wild, man. Just the stuff that people be promoting or listening to. I don't care if I get called old or not. Bruh, I ain't listening to everybody. I can't. I apologize. Like, folk who got like dumbass names, I'm not listening to you. If I listen to your music and I can't understand what you're saying, cool. If the shit that you saying is outlandish, like, take the bars, right? Take the music off. Take the cadence off. Just let the words be the words. If the words you saying would be some wild shit that I would judge you for, cool. Too cool. And I try not to talk too much about celebrities because I don't know them folk. They don't affect my everyday life. And they shouldn't affect your everyday life, honestly. But, you know, that's how folk get down. But at the same time, it's about time you start addressing folk for their foolishness. For example, anytime I get on social media, you see somebody talking about young boy or who he got beef with or any kind of drama circulating around that. You mix that with the lyrics that folk be singing, you would think that, all right, bet cool. This is music for older folk who are conscious of consequences of their lifestyle. Nah, music for everybody from the ages 50, 55, 56 and down. Which is wild. Because again, if you were to take the beat off, take the cadence off, and just say the words of what's being said, some wild shit. And what makes it worse, right, is parents celebrating their kids listening to that. I'm like, so you hear what they saying, you understand what they saying, and you applaud them for saying that. And then folks be like, man, it's just music. Nah, it ain't. What you listen to is heavily affecting how you think. How you think affects your decision making. Your decision making impacts your life and shapes your life. So what you listen to shapes your life. Same way as monkey see, monkey do, it goes vocally too. What you hear affects how you see and how you approach life. So as folks legit celebrating their kids, just consuming as much negative material as possible. And I just use Young Boy as an example. It's the largest example, probably the biggest hip hop artist out right now. Impact is huge, which is a red flag. Music good. I don't give a fuck. What you saying? What are you singing? How is it impacting you? That shit matters. You can't. We at the age, the information age, where honestly, your age don't even matter no more. If you have access to the internet, you're responsible for what you consume. So kids that on the internet, their parents didn't double check for them. They are responsible for what they consume, because what them kids listen to is gonna impact how they act. It's gonna impact big consequences or big rewards in their future. If you have access, unlimited access to the internet with no guidance, you got to deal with the consequences. And that means something. Because it didn't always used to be consequences to your entertainment preference. Once upon a time, folk could listen to somebody and then they could separate the music from the individual if necessary. Or you could listen to an individual and there was no need to separate because they represented what you represented. There were no issues. But we so far past that now, bro. It's crazy. Like, super crazy. If you think about, not even think about, everybody was getting those lists like Spotify of who their most streamed artist is. And then folks would look at the list and be like, yeah, that looks like me, that sounds like me. And you could pretty much shape my behavior or judge my personality based on who I'm listening to. So with that being the case, you would think folk would be more cognizant of what they're consuming. Nah, the impact doesn't matter as much as the attention I'm getting. Who all's listening to this? How many fans do they have? Is there going to be a large group of us who all share the same interest? Those things are all being considered more so than the impact of listening to. And that's again, it's a red flag. Super red flag. You don't really care about what you singing. So you don't care about what you're doing. And then you don't care about the impact of how that affects your life. That's one issue. The other part that's crazy about it is a lot of the music folk listening to and that they singing, the artists that they singing don't live that lifestyle. So you got folks that's talking about AI catch a body, everybody got to die. That's not killing nobody. They live in rich, affluent neighborhood. They drive nice cars. They have nice jewelry. They go to the studio. They make that music, and they go right home where it's safe at, where they can live in a life of luxury. But you, the consumer, thinking it, you relating to it, you adopting it, you allowing it to shape you, and then you go live it out. It flip flopped. It used to be, I'm gonna put my pain on wax, and then I'm gonna try to make profit from my pain too. Pain is profitable, so I make it up in order to get that money. The delivery is different. The effect is different. The process is different. And that's why the topic of today was Nipsey Hussle song. Real deal, like high quality individual. And anybody who ever listened to him would know the song, because once you see it and you think Nip, you like, all right, bet, cool. I ain't nothing like you. Meaning, I'm living what I'm talking about. So it's not me trying to tell you a story or promote a lifestyle to you. It's, here's what's happened. Here was the effect of what's happened. Here's what decision I used to make. Here's what decision I plan on making. Here's the ins and outs, the good and the bad, the ugly and the indifferent of my lifestyle. And a common trait from folk who are cognizant of the effects of their performance is when they're aware of what they're saying musically, they're also aware of what they're doing outside of music. I'm conscious of what I'm saying. I'm conscious of what I'm doing, who I was, who I plan on being, and what I represent. All I have to correlate. All I have to be intentional. It's rare. It's not like that with a lot of folk. And it's because they fans don't care. Fans control everything. What your consumers say, what your consumers feel, what your consumers think, all of that controls everything for artists, because when you're dealing with music now, it's all about profit. That's crazy, boy. The game going on. That's another crazy thing about music. Music at some point started to merge, because hip hop was that powerful. Started to merge with sports, and rappers wanted to be basketball players wanted to be rappers, and they met in the middle because all parties grew up in similar backgrounds. The same can be said today, where the rappers of the day, the musicians of the day, and the athletes of the day grew up in similar backgrounds. But the unfortunate part is they all are representative of the same issue we're speaking about, where I'm going to present something that's not authentic. I'm going to show it off as authentic. I'm going to display myself as it being authentic, until you start comparing what's being presented to actions and behaviors. Like, and key thing about watching basketball, right, is everybody who's ever played 2K has seen the same process, right? And it's the same process in the NBA. Young player gets drafted, innocent. They start to make a name for themselves. All of a sudden, they start getting money. You can tell that they get money because they start getting tattoos. They start getting wristbands. They start getting shoe deals. All the accessories start to pop up. They spending all the VC that they can. And they go from this innocent looking kid to super accessorized my player. And not only does their appearance change, the personality changes. So the more money you make, the more your personality changes. And that personality is changing to match what's happening on the musical side, where somebody is not really rich, but presenting themselves as good enough, not really caring about what other people think. But as they make more money, they start to kowtow more to what people are saying, what people think. They start to accessorize more. Now you'll never see me without a chain before. I never had one. Now I always have one. You always see me around the women, the cars, luxury items. I have to give off luxury, even though I gave off struggle before. And it correlates. But what's it built on? It's not authenticity. It's not real shit. It's built on rap persona. Rap persona is somebody else's story being exaggerated so you can one up. Rap music today, hip hop today is basically the stories of rappers from the 80s, the crack era, but expounded upon. They did this, this, and that. Well, we doing this, this, and this. That's beyond them. They came up selling nicks and dimes. I'm selling bricks, nothing but bricks. They wanted to get a little bit of money so they could take care of their kids, get their mama a crib. Man, I got cribs on cribs on cribs. I'm having all the kids I want. Everybody getting money. There was life experience, which developed the goals, which developed the behaviors of them folk. These folk, it ain't life experience. It's not experience driven. There are no goals. It's just one goal: make as much money as possible. And when money is your only goal, start to do a lot of shit that don't make sense. Start doing a lot of inconsistent things, having inconsistent behavior, because anybody who's ever made money, had money, been around money knows that money is inconsistent. You'll never always have it. You'll never always spend it. It'll come in different. It'll leave out differently. Your process stays the same, but the numbers always change. I'm gonna get into why that's a problem in a second. Man, I be trying to stay as up as possible, but going through this beginning stage of this podcast, right? Trying to speak on reality. It seems so rough and so tough and tumble getting in at the ground level, walking through the weeds and the high grass to be able to explain the situation before you can jump into the positive side or be more entertaining or have a more carefree conversation. Gotta remind, right? Like, even though you want to be as positive as possible, you have to be realistic and self-aware. Then after you self-aware, then you can shoot from the hip and go from there. But you got to say where you stand before you can have a conversation. Simple as that. Hold up, man. Phone's going off. Crazy thing about music you listen to is You pretty much predicting your future before it happens. Not in detailed events like, yeah, I'm always talking about somebody getting shot, so that means I'm gonna get shot. But more so, the feel of this music is grimy. So I'm in a grimy state of mind, so I have a grimy lifestyle. So the word to describe my life would be like, what's the girl named Dochi or something like that? Folks was always using that song on social media. And then after a while, you start listening to it over and over again. That anxiety song, look what you singing about. Now look what you suffering through. Look what you relating to. You speaking it into your life. You speaking it into existence. With the rap niggas, right? I wanted to get into it because it's gonna bleed into what I'm gonna talk about later on down the line. But these niggas went from I'm suffering for lack of resources. I need resources, and this is my way to acquire those resources. To they finding whoever got the most influential mental illness, and we just gonna promote them. And it's crazy. It went from partying to talent to gangster to substance abuse to mental illness, where you had the Lil Wayne era where we want to know how you getting high, who's getting high, what's the process of getting high. And that influenced a lot of people to shoot. They using these drugs, I'm gonna use it. And now you got the mental illness era, the ride wave era, and the crazy thing about it is the most influential guy from probably this group probably be like Kevin Gates. If you listen to any of Gates' music, you're like, oh yeah, this man is mentally unstable. It's the same with a lot of the rappers today. You like, man, he depressed, he bipolar, he must be schizophrenic. He got anxiety, he got anxiety, he got anxiety. All of them got anxiety. They all smoking because they talking about this pain, this uncomfortable sense of being that they're in, their mental health being poor. And they're making catchy music about their mental health being poor. So a lot of people are singing about poor mental health and are shaping their lives to relate to having poor mental health. I used to work in the mental health field, right? And what's not taught is medicine doesn't do what people think it does. Medicine brings the crazy back to a state of, what's the word? Not normalcy, but brings you back to a state of negotiable stability where it can be reasoned with. The part of mental health that improves your mental health is change behavior, learn behavior, improvement upon habits. And the same thing goes in reverse. If you practice bad habits, eventually those bad habits determine what decisions you make. And that determines the quality of your life. So listening to rap music, if you listen to somebody depressing and you listen a lot to that person that's depressing, there's a high probability that you're going to become depressed. Same thing it was with Lil Wayne. Same thing it was with Wiz Khalifa. The more folk listen to Wiz, it was almost impossible to find somebody who favorite artist was Wiz Khalifa that didn't smoke. It was crazy. And it was next to impossible to try to find somebody whose favorite artist was Lil Wayne, who never did any drug ever. Just no lean, no weed, no coke. Just, we don't do none of that. We just like Lil Wayne music. It's almost impossible. And that was the substance abuse era. And it's the same with this era where the folk who listen to Big X, man, his music is kind of catchy, but it's always like got a chip on my shoulder. I always feel like I got to prove myself. Folks adopt that. Another example, this is more so R&B than rap music. Summer Walker. Summer Walker was like the Kevin Gates for R&B singers for women, where clearly is something wrong with this individual. Like the music itself told you that there is a problem with this person. You can listen to the music and hear, yeah, this is somebody who needs therapy. But folks was going out and singing it, celebrating it, loving it, living it. It was everything to them. And then the crazy part about that is, on top of singing and celebrating the music, folks stopped caring and started being so unintentional about what they were listening to that they even looked over or glossed over the fact that these people's personal lives were also starting to be in line with they needed help. You got somebody who's depressed, making depressed music, who now has an eating disorder, who's now in the hospital for an eating disorder. And all of these things are saying, hey, I need help. And folk are going, man, the music is great. Brother, that it's not something you want to listen to unless you are looking to follow that route and you want to be next. I wouldn't make that decision. It's probably not the smartest thing to do. And that's just the part where the music itself is the issue. The actual songs are the issue. It's the part of the conversation where the actual art that's being produced is being produced in such a way to affect people and get these results. And you got to look on the other side that I was just hinting at, where regardless of what the music said, what does this person's actions and behavior say? Is this somebody that you should support? And on that end, when you had Kevin Gates with the mental illness, on the other side, you had Young Thug with like, there's something wrong with dude. The antics outside of the music, folks was overlooking the antics. I'm like, yeah, you shouldn't be overlooking that. Cuz right there, just put a dress on. If you present yourself as a masculine man or as somebody who believes in gender roles, how could you listen to somebody who wears dresses but carries himself as a masculine individual? And you got like the baby putting a diaper on. Like, I understand the name, but your persona is thug, gangster rapper, but you got a diaper on. Your music and the antics and your behavior not adding up. And the new king of that went from somebody who I was just speaking about to the person that they signed, where it went from Young Thug being the biggest example of the antics are crazy and don't match the music, to Gunna, whose music does not match the decision making off the wax at all. Like I'm a thug. Me and the gang, we chilling. We about getting money, fucking hoes, mafia lifestyle, slimed out. And then when a common obstacle for what you speaking about pops up, all of that goes out the window and you immediately go, hey man, I'm not none of that. I'm just an artist. And then the perception changes and your personality changes. And you no longer want people to see you for your music when there's consequences behind it. You want your fans to see you for your music, but you want everybody else to see you as just an individual making music. So there is no intentionality behind it. Just these things are completely separate. That shit wild. And I promised myself I was gonna start being more direct. If you listening to somebody whose music doesn't align with your goals, your long term goals for yourself, you stop listening to that shit. If you listening to somebody whose personal behavior doesn't align with your line of decision making, don't listen to that shit. Simple, easy, super easy. Like everything that you consume impacts your lifestyle, your quality of life. And with that being said, right, you got to be judicious about what you listening to, who you listening to, and how that affects your thought process. It's guaranteed that if Tupac was alive right now, he'd got treated like Mo 3, regardless of what kind of music you were making, regardless of what you stood for, regardless of the intentionality and all of those things lining up. Folks don't care about that no more. They no longer interested in what you stand for. They no longer interested in, if they don't even care if this is real, just say something and let it be catchy. The whole point of the conversation, right, was, and I'm gonna cut out after this, is I will see like these hypothetical conversations, right, where there's a bunch of dead artists on the screen, and folks would be like, if you had to bring back one, who would it be? And there'll be a bunch of artists on there, all of them on different ends of the spectrum of intentionality, impact, their content. It's all over the place. And folks was just picking the person who made the catchiest music, who had the most fan support. I'm like, that don't, the hypothetical said just bring back one, not let them make another album. Bring one back to life, meaning their music and their lifestyle, all of that. Bring it back. I'm like, y'all picking the person that's just the most popular instead of the people over here that are the most intentional. Like, this dude did good in his community, stood for something, and that means nothing to you. Nah, bring me back the guy who was making that catchy music. So you don't prioritize good people or people doing good things or being impactful. Prioritize being entertained. Because folks are not aware, conscious, or care about how things impact them. Just shut up and sing, shut up and rap. Let me laugh at you. Let me joke at you. Let me dance to you. Let me sing along to you. And then let it be ignorance is bliss about everything else. I skipped story time today because I'm getting toward the end and I'm going to say my whole point of talking about it. An example of this was like the Kendrick versus Drake beef. I'm like, I'm gonna stand on the side of the folk who stand for something, who represent something. On my moral compass, this is the person who's headed in the right direction. And then the person who's not headed in that direction, we're gonna go ahead and let them go. And that just be the end of it. And it don't even got to be a beef for that to be the thought process. It's the same thing for new music. You say something I don't like, or you say something that's alarming, cool. Like, nah, I ain't got to listen to you no more. You ain't, You ain't even got to worry about me listening to your music no more, because I don't stand for nothing. I feel like it's morally wrong. I don't like what you saying. I don't like what you saying at all. Like, the thing about Young Thug is he got to do all of the foolishness. The lifestyle that he was living, all of the words and the raps was real. And folks was standing beside him. Got acquitted of crimes that were connected to the music that people were singing about. And now that he's free, people not interested in what he's saying no more. Because we no longer find that entertaining. So we're going to brush you to the side just because we don't like what you're saying. Which is crazy because you rode with him throughout the trials and tribulations for behaving a certain way. Then when that wave dies down and there's a new trend, we on to the next. On the flip side, same thing happens on the other side where, yeah, we don't really like how you acting, so we not gonna mess with you. R. Kelly. R. Kelly been the exact same person probably the entirety of his career. Music always been to a certain level. Mannerisms, behavior, conduct, all of that has been consistent the entire time. Folks knew how he was getting down. 20 years he was getting away with it, doing what he was doing, behaving how he behaved. Finally got to a point where we gonna finally arrest you for it decades later after it's already openly been known. And now that you go to jail, folks now like, I can't believe that. I won't listen to it. No new evidence was presented. You just finally acknowledged it and finally looked at it and paid attention to what was going on. And now you want to stand against it. Hypocritical. Can't act like you didn't see or didn't know because it was openly conversed about. And it goes from rap to R&B. Diddy, same way. Been doing the same thing. Been a shady character entirety of his existence in the public view. But she go to jail, we just gonna switch on you because you're no longer giving us what we looking for. So, now let's nitpick. Folk got to stand on something. And as crazy as it sounds, you can judge people for who they listen to and what they listen to. I openly endorse it. Not really the judgment part, but being pickier about who you socialize with. You listen to what? Nah, I can't be around you. I don't want that kind of energy around me. You listen to who? You support who? Nah, I can't get with that because that means y'all of one mind on how that's supposed to go. You think that that's a good way to conduct yourself. If you conduct yourself like that around me, can't be around me. It's the same as between sports and music. When that rap shit become real life, are you willing to stand on that in front of your parents, in front of your peers, in the court of law, or in different environments? Are you willing to stand on what you support when people are watching? And you're not in the majority. When you can't rely on, man, we all doing it. When you can't rely on, man, shit is just in the comfort of my own home. When you can't rely on, shoot, it's new, it's trendy. When you got to stand on it and you got to be judged on your behalf, like this is your decision making, still support that. You got to be cautious. You got to be wary because that shit bleeds over. And there's certain environments that you do not want to be compared to none of these rap niggas. Trust.